I had a plan to teach on business structures today, and God just started downloading something completely different. He said, we have to teach on this before we get into structures, which this is a foundational piece to business. And so the title of it is, Are You Waiting on God or is God waiting on you? So what he was showing me within myself was with the changes within KEB, he's like, you have an opportunity to really define this in like my personality and how God created me, and also that it is my chance to really show the giftings that I have, right? And he had me kind of look historically in my life, not just, within the faith-driven realm, but even my personal life, my professional life. And he was having me look at like really what do people gain from me for being around me? And I would say the number one thing that I have offered people is motivation and the ability to see past where they are currently. And so he started showing me you need to start sharing that with other people, right? That's my gift. You have to pull the gifts out, pull the vision out of them, help them see the vision. And I was like, that's so true, God. And he's like, yes, you're good at business, but you're also good at that, at helping them see where their vision is. And so I was just spending time with him, and he just kind of started unfolding this. And I'm in a weird season right now and I'm tucked away, but at the same time it's really good because I feel like I'm getting so much clarity because I just kind of tucked away and it's just me and God, and I might have like a person or two that I'm talking to, but for the most part, and I feel like it's super intentional right now because he's about to birth something new. And I felt like, okay, this relaunching, Lord, that we're doing, I want to make sure that it's in complete alignment and that I am doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm spreading the message that I'm supposed to spread, and I'm teaching people and leading people the way that He is calling me to do it. And so, with that being said, He's like, now you need to have other people look inward at themselves and see, am I in alignment with what God is doing? Am I even working towards what God is doing? And I was like, okay. So as we were going through it, he was talking to me about insecurities. So I have always been a person that have like I just have big visions. I have big goals. I don't look at something and say I can't do it. That is really not even in my vocabulary. I figured if someone has already done it, that means it has been done. That means it can be done. And if I put the work in, that means I can do it also. That is a strength that I have, but then I also have, like, I have my struggles as well. I've had my struggle with um not necessarily thinking within myself that I'm incapable, but I've had struggles of thinking like, well, what if people judge me, or what if they say this? And it's more of like the outside world judging me, and sometimes I just want to protect the gift because I don't want them to attack the gift. And I think it's really important when we're building to start thinking about like, what is it that we are really good at? What is it that you know that God gave you as a gift to offer this world? You have a message to people. You have, maybe it's a product for people. Maybe it's a service for people. What is your gift that God has given you that you haven't quite stepped fully into? And then on the flip side, what is it that keeps you from operating in that gift? Where is your pain point? It kind of goes back to like the Israelites. They already knew that the promised land was there. They knew that God promised it to them, but their perception caused them to stay where they were and not occupy the territory. Their perception, the way that they were viewing themselves in it. They were viewing the giants as much larger and stronger than what they were. And so I think building a business or stepping into what God has for us, it's really important to think about what is keeping you from actually doing it. And through that, what he was showing me is he said, how many times have you asked me, God, when is the breakthrough? When is this going to happen? When is that going to happen? Or when is the wealth transfer going to come? When is that? And he said, you, in many situations, have kind of acted like you were waiting on me. But in reality, maybe I was waiting on you. Maybe it's because you weren't quite in alignment, or because you were allowing fear to get in your way, or you were allowing these hardships to get in your way, these obstacles, the giants, whatever the giants are that are keeping you from your promised land, that was getting in my way of what God was actually wanting me to do. And so he said, many people are there right now. And he said that they're questioning me, when is this business going to take off? When is all of these promises that you have for me actually going to come into fruition? And he said, and they act like they're waiting on me, but perhaps I'm waiting on them. And I was like, okay, that's kind of deep, you know. I've done that many times. And I think that's true for me even now. You know, I've asked God, like, all right, Lord, you gave me this business plan 10 years ago, and you've given me little pieces over the years, and I've tried to launch it a few different times. The first time, um, I wasn't quite sure. So I was just gathering data, like, how do you do this? What does the structure look like? And, then the second time, okay, we actually put a structure to it and things are working good. And now it's kind of like a third relaunch. And I was feeling a little bit like, wait, just a little uneasy with what was actually happening. And, and then he reminded me of David. And he was like, David was anointed king when he was a boy. And he said, how many times did David ask me, Lord, when am I actually going to be a king? And he said, but it took David many years. He had to go through many trials and he had to grow through all of these seasons in order to be the king that I called him to be. But he said the important part with David was that he didn't just stay a shepherd boy, that he actually put the effort out to learn what he needed to learn and to step into alignment in that season. So that way he could grow through every season and become the king that God called him to.